Hey, welcome back to part 2 of one of my recent $1 million luxury fix and flip deals. I'm out here at this project. This deal had a really rocky start and it almost fell apart several times, but we were able to work through the obstacles and we just closed on the purchase today. Find out all about it coming up.
The Real Estate Funding Kit is out now. Learn how to get 100% funding for all your deals without dealing with the banks. Claim your free copy at myfundingkit.com.
So this is actually a luxury fix and flip deal in my backyard here in Chandler, Arizona. And on the part 1 video, I shared how we found and secured the contract with the seller and my game plan for funding and flipping this deal. And one of the biggest lessons you'll learn in this business is to never count your chickens before they've hatched. With wholesaling and fix and flip, oftentimes going from an executed contract to closing can be very challenging and full of obstacles, as was the case with this deal. And since this is a 5,500 square foot luxury new construction home and basically stopped at the drywall phase from the previous owner, we had to figure out exactly what was done, who did it, were there things scheduled to still be done, which contractors were paid and still had work left to come back and do, were permits pulled, were there any contractors that had done work and not been paid, and on and on. On top of that, we had to really get our heads around what it would take to finish this home and how much it would cost, and if there were any changes that we wanted or needed to make. And based on what it would take to finish the home, what sale price could we realistically aim to get once it's completed? And all of this took time to figure out, and the deal almost fell apart several times. In fact, the more we dug into it, the more problems we found, and the more it changed the numbers on the deal. Now, if you missed video part 1, I'll put a link to that video in the description below and you can watch it later. But if you remember from the part 1 video, we got the contract with a 10-day inspection contingency and a $20,000 earnest money deposit with a 2-week closing. That means we had a full 10 days to do our due diligence and make sure the deal works. If during the 10 days we discover anything that would change those numbers for any reason at all, we could renegotiate or terminate the contract and get our earnest money back. Well, we ended up extending our due diligence 2 more times because we needed more time to figure out everything and get answers. So it ended up taking a full 30 days of due diligence to wrap our heads around this project. We even went back and renegotiated the price down with the seller a few times during that time. And when I do these real deal case study videos like this, I try to keep it real and share the good and the bad and what happens, and most importantly, big lessons that you can learn and take away, which I hope you appreciate. And the point I want to make in regards to all of the things that we had to do to keep this deal alive is this. Whenever doing a fix and flip, especially a big fix and flip, or really any investment deal at all, your goal is to minimize your risk before buying the house and going all in. Now, what do I mean by that? On this deal, until we felt like we really understood all of the numbers and exactly what it would take to do this project, we did not go hard on our contract. In other words, we extended our due diligence so that our earnest money was not at risk, and we renegotiated the price down when we discovered additional costs that were not part of our original analysis. And this is the important part. We were 100% prepared to walk from the deal if the numbers didn't fit our parameters as a profitable home run deal. Now, this is a big mistake that I see a lot of flippers make. They become emotionally attached to the deal and then they end up going out of formula to make the deal work. Now, the seller was extremely emotional, as is normal and expected. This property was causing severe stress in his life, but not me. I solely focused on the numbers and the ROI like a smart investor and flipper should. What I did is I drew a line in the sand and I said, these are the numbers for this deal to work, and we are not going to move forward on this project unless we get these numbers. Originally, upon executed contract, I thought this project would be pretty cut and dry, but upon discovering it was going to be more challenging, I increased my desired projected net profit from $200,000 to $250,000, which is about 18% of ARV. Why $250,000? Because it's going to take nearly $1 million of capital to flip this house, and it better have a big payday. So once I made the decision on what the margins needed to be, it allowed me to remove any and all of the emotion out of the equation. It either works or it doesn't. I either get my number or I walk. Simple as that. If I can't get the price low enough with a realistic budget to finish it, then I'm prepared to back out of the deal. And I suggest that you take that same approach when you do deals. I also want to encourage you to stop doing small deals. Think bigger, set a higher standard, and be willing to walk from marginal deals. I think new wholesalers should have a minimum profit goal of $10,000, and new fix and flippers should have a minimum profit goal of $25,000. Now, I did an entire video about why you should stop doing small deals. It's a great video to help you reset your thinking about the kinds of deals you should do. Now, I'll put a link to that video in the description box below, and you can watch it later. So during our due diligence, we discovered that there were additional costs that we did not know about originally, such as a $24,000 bill that had not been paid to the drywaller. So we kept going back to the seller and asking for reductions to cover these additional expenses. And finally, the last price reduction was for $10,000 to cover exterior stone that was required by the HOA that we didn't know about originally. And even though this deal was never listed for sale on market and was brought to me by a bird dog, the seller still had an agent representing him, so that is who we interacted with during the entire negotiation and due diligence phase. And after discovering the stone requirement from the HOA, I told the agent representing the seller that we needed another $10,000 reduction on the price, and this is after the seller already did 2 other price reductions. And she said, Jerry, look, he will not come down anymore. He's as low as he can go. He has a general contractor who can come in and finish the project, and I'm telling you, he's just not gonna go down anymore at this point. Now I'm curious, what would you do if you were in my shoes at that point? Would you hold firm, or would you let it go since it's only $10,000? Leave a comment and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And here's what I did. I point blank said to her, okay then, terminate our contract and he can hire the general contractor to finish building this house. And I meant it. I would have walked from this deal over a $10,000 difference. And she said, okay, but before we do that, I'll present your $10,000 reduction to the seller just in case, but I'm telling you right now, Jerry, he's not going to do it. So I said, okay, do that and get back to me. And the agent even called my bluff. She sent me an email later that day and she said, I think he's going to just go with the general contractor. And so then I replied back and I said, okay, then terminate the contract. Then I got no response until the next day when I got an email from her that said, okay, he decided to do the reduction and lower the price another $10,000. Now, the other thing that we did during the due diligence is we really carefully went over the property and we discovered that this is a really high-end home. There are a lot of custom upgrade features like lighting in the stairs and built-in heaters on the patio and a steam room in the master and a built-in gun safe in the master and a ton of recessed lights and on and on and on. And after really taking a hard look, we decided that the back-end sale price was not $1.2 million like we originally thought, but rather $1.4 million. But in order to get $1.4 million, we feel like we had to make a few changes and we have to really hit our finishes right. We need a buyer to really easily recognize and be willing to pay more for this house. So a few things that we're gonna change is we're gonna completely redo the casita, or what they call the guest house. Now this is off of the garage, it has a separate living quarters like a mother-in-law suite, and we feel like the ideal buyer is gonna be a family and that they'd rather have more entertaining space, so we're gonna completely demo the casita, knock down all these walls, and make it one big room for entertaining, maybe have a pool table and a big TV. You know, it goes out to the pool, so it's really awesome. Now, not only do we feel this will be a better use of the space, but it'll also save a lot of money too. Now, also we're gonna make another change here in the kitchen, and we think that this will make a huge improvement. Right now the plans are calling for 2 islands, but this is gonna really crowd the space and it's gonna cut into the living room and it's gonna be just way too tight. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna close off this walkway right here and then we're gonna make 1 big island instead of 2. Now this will make the kitchen space feel so much better. All right, now let me talk for a minute about funding. My hard money lender approved me for approximately 80% of the total capital needed, and I have a private money investor who's funding the remaining 20% of the capital needed. So we're doing this deal with 100% funding. My hard money lender is charging 12% interest and 1 point, and my private lender is charging 12% interest, no points. So since we closed, we are officially on the clock as of today. Now, if you'd like to be able to do fix and flip deals with 100% funding, none of your own money in the deal, then be sure to download my free funding kit, which has all of the resources you need to get 100% funding. Just go to myfundingkit.com to get that for free. So now that we just closed on the purchase, it's time to hit the ground running. Time is money. We've got our demo crew and our framing crew scheduled. Our goal is to finish and flip this house in 6 months. Can we do it? Time will tell. Be sure to be on the lookout for a part 3 video where I'll update the progress of this project. And I hope you learned something new. If you did, show some love, hit that like button right now and leave a comment. Let me know your biggest takeaway from this video. I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm dedicated to helping you make more money wholesaling and flipping houses so you can live your dream life. And remember, it's not about the money, it's about having the time and freedom to have, be, do, and give everything that matters in life. That's what it's all about. And I'll see you on the next video.